something else about the perceiver that is not contained?
Yeah, the perceiver that is not contained, is not limited. So when the perceiving merges, when the perceived merges in the perceiver, there is just perceiving. So you could, for example, look at this perception that you are having right now, which is this looking at MACD, the back of the laptop, and so on. That is perceived, yes? And is perceived by you, the perceiver. And you're also perceiving the wall, the back of the wall. And you're perceiving your peripheral perception, maybe Bob, Bo. All that is perceived by you, the perceiver. But what you perceive, what we are referring to as the perceived, you know it as your perception. You are perceiving your perception. Your perception is not distant from you. Your perception is made out of you. You are perceiving your perception. You're perceiving you. You following? So when you are perceiving you, there aren't two. There are not two. When you're looking at your perception is intimately yourself. It's not apart from you. Duality means that A and B are apart. There is a B that is apart from A. You follow? But you're perceiving your perception, yes? This perception is actually, you're not perceiving a table, a chair, you're perceiving your perception. You could say you're perceiving your perception of a table, a chair, etc. But you're perceiving your perception. You're experiencing your experience. And your perception is made out of you. It's not a part of you. Like your heartbeat is made out of you. Your breath is made out of you. Your perception is made out of you. So there are not two. When there are not two, that means there are no borders. when there are no borders, there are no boundaries, no limits, no edges. So the perceiver, which is consciousness, which is I, is intimately one. The perception is made out of myself. In order for there to be any borders or any location to the perceiver, there has to be an A and a B, a distance. A is apart from B by space or time, meters or hours or minutes. It doesn't take you 3 seconds to hear these words. There's an immediacy because you're hearing your own hearing. You're experiencing your own experiencing. You're perceiving your own perceiving. You are the perceiving. The perceiving is made out of you. The hearing, the sensing is made out of you. You're not perceiving a laptop, you're perceiving your perception of a laptop. Where is your perception? It is intimately one with you. It's made out of you. So when the perceived comes to the perceiver becomes borderless and eternal, limitless. But when the perceived does not come to the perceiver, it stands apart from the perceiver is limited. That's the experience of separation. So the contemplation of your experience is to contemplate that what you perceive is not apart from you. You're perceiving your perception, you're hearing your hearing. You're experiencing your experience. Your experience is made out of you. It's not out there. A thought, you perceive a thought, the thought is made out of you. It's not traveling 5 meters away from you or 5 centimeters away from you. You're experiencing yourself. The thought is made out of you, so you're experiencing yourself like your hand is made out of you. It's intimately you. You never perceive an external event. But when you perceive an external event, then you are an internal self. You are a separate observer, a separate perceiver, and therefore your experience is that of a limited perceiver, a limited witness, a limited self. Through our conditioning, through ignorance, we perceive from an internal space an external world. That's referred to as the dream, the illusion of separation. Why is it an illusion? Because you're never experiencing an external world. It's an impression that there is an impression of externality does not establish externality. Believing that you are a part of me does not establish that you is apart from me. Believing that the trees are out there and I am here does not establish that the trees are out there and I am here. Because this belief is made out of me, it's a thought, impression, a sensation right here. It's not separate. You're always experiencing your experience. You're never experiencing an external event. you're experiencing your experience of what the mind says is an external event. But the fact is you're experiencing your experience. Your experience is not a part of you, apart from you, of you. Another way of looking, sir? Yeah. Another way of looking at your question about the observer or the perceiver not being limited. Is to contemplate, first of all, what is it that perceives? So it's not the eyes that perceive, it's not the brain that perceives, it's not the body that perceives, it is I that perceives. I as consciousness that perceives. Yes? Like the body mind is a tool that I use to perceive. Yes? Like an astronaut, astronomer uses a telescope to look at the galaxies. It is not the telescope that perceives. It is the astronomer that perceives. Yes, it's I that perceives. Consciousness is what perceives. Then you can, once you understand that, you can contemplate what is the nature of this consciousness. You can ask yourself certain questions about whether consciousness has any phenomenal qualities. Because limitation is phenomenal. For example, this room is 15 feet wide by 20 feet long. That's a phenomenal, the walls limit the space via distance. And the trees are 20 yards away via distance. It's a phenomenal observation. The limitation is a phenomenal event. For example, the Virginia and Washington, D.C. are two limited states, two separate states. And you can look at the map and see where one ends and the other one starts. And when you're driving to Washington, D.C., you'll see a sign saying, "Welcome to Washington." It's sort of a demarcation line that says on this side is Virginia, on that side is Washington. When you look at consciousness, meaning whatever it is that truly perceives, which is I, and you ask these questions, where does I end and something else starts, non-I? Where does I end and non-I start? Because there has to be, for limitation to be your experience, there has to be a place where I am and then another place where I am not. So you can contemplate in your experience, which is always right here, right now, in your experience right now, where is I and where is not I? In your experience, not in your thinking, because thinking might say, oh, well, I am here and I am not in Reston. But I'm talking about your experience, in your conscious experience of presence. And you can ask yourself a variety of questions about consciousness, such as what size is it? How heavy is it? How wide or tall is it? So we can close our eyes.